least somebody's happy with my gardening. Hey everybody, I just wanted to go over today what I got out of this garden this year and what I learned. This was my first actual year of doing a garden. I've grown lots of stuff in the past, but this is my first year of actually just tilling up an area, cutting it out away from the animals and growing it for myself. This is kind of the end of the fall garden, so I'm gonna let the chickens eat on the garden for a little while and then plant my winter garden, some greens and stuff. But the first thing I learned, just the positive side of this, there's a lot of potential in gardening. And really, once you get it right, once you get your soil right, it's such a good idea to do this. And I'll probably make some more videos on gardening whenever I'm a little more successful at it. But the 29th of October, and I had some watermelons growing. This was, you can see that that's done, but I have two other watermelons that were a little bit bigger than that aren't in this picture, that I pulled those yesterday morning because it frosted last night and then the night before. But the garden's pretty much done. This is spaghetti squash. That's not grown. This one's definitely grown right here. So I got some good ones. I got some good spaghetti squash, and then this is Bantam corn. This was the Bantam corn that I grew. I planted back in like August. Not real happy with it. Wasn't the Bantam corn that I'm not happy with. It was just my gardening skills probably needed some work. I think that corn drinks so much more water, and it drinks it uses a lot of nitrogen, and I don't think I gave it enough nitrogen. Here's this corn. None of this corn was good. You see it? That's an ant. It's an ant hole, or ants moved in after something else made that hole, because there was a bunch of ants in here. The corn was either underdeveloped, like this one, or it was just ants like that. So it's not going to waste, and this one was rotted at the bottom. It's not going to go to waste. I'm going to give it to the pig. Then there's a little bit of okra. I've been harvesting okra for a while now, all summer long. I would say that's lesson number one that I'm going to do. Let's walk out here to the garden. Lesson number one for me is next year I'm going to plant a lot of okra, because okra just kept on giving all year until the frost came. So if you remember watching some of my videos and my Instagram, you'll see this used to be the squash and watermelon jungle that I had, but it's no more. So I put the roosters on it, let them clean it up a little bit. There's a stray hen. She's probably going to be a problem. The second thing I would say I learned gardening this year is get raised beds. The initial work of building the raised beds is work, but it totally made a huge difference in weeds. I went from like massive amounts of weeds every week to just maybe one weed a week here and there. I would just go through and grab it, and that made a huge difference in that. And the other thing is that I used actual mulch in the boxes, so I wasn't just tilling up this dirt. Like in between the boxes now, at one point, and actually the okra still did well without putting them in a box, but that was the only thing that really did well. There's actually one broccoli plant right there. That one is still kicking it. It didn't even freeze to death. Everything else that I planted outside of these boxes did not do well. And the buckets worked too. I got some stuff growing in the bucket. So boxes are a really big deal. And then I think the mulch part of it was a huge deal. I think rather than till into the soil, I think I could have, even if I didn't build the boxes, I could have not tilled the soil and brought the mulch in and probably done pretty good. But I just think that whenever I dip down into the soil, it may have given the garden a little bit of initial growth, but then when summer came in and this dirt gets real clumpy, whenever it gets hot and dry. I think that just closed in on the growth of the plants, and now I couldn't grow any more plants. The other thing I didn't do, this will be my last tip. This will just be a short video. The other thing I didn't do is grow potatoes. The idea with potatoes is you get them in the ground in February, and that's in the south here. You get them in the ground in February, and you got it. You got a good potato production. I actually grew potatoes the year before last, and those actually did well. So the only other thing I could say is I went all organic in this garden. Didn't use chemicals, and I used non-GMO seeds. If I had gone with a bunch of chemicals, used some GMO seeds that could handle all those chemicals, I might have had a super awesome lush looking garden, but that's not the way I want to do things. I wanted to build on a foundation here, so that's why I went with non-GMO and organic plants. And I knew it was going to be an uphill battle, but it's still worth it in the long run because I'm learning organic styles, I'm learning organic ways of doing things, and I'm not, the little bit of harvest I got this year is just going to grow from here, and I'm not going to be putting poison in my body. So if you got any tips for me garden wise, you can write those in the comment section. Other than that, feel free to subscribe. I'll be putting out more gardening videos soon whenever I get this winter garden planted, so that'll be something interesting to look at. And I'm just going to let these chickens eat on this for a day or two, and then I'll start getting some turnips in the ground. And I've already got carrots. I'll show you. I've already showed you that video. I'll put a link to the carrot video down here in the bottom. So see you guys in the next video.